Unaddressed conversations, ignored numbers, delayed decisions, unspoken grief, misalignment you keep hoping fixes itself. The thing you're avoiding is not neutral, it's active. What we avoid doesn't pause, it compounds. Avoidance creates drag, drag creates anxiety, anxiety drains energy, energy loss creates inaction, inaction reinforces avoidance, and the loop resets itself, and that loop is brutal. Again, the thing you're avoiding is not neutral, it's active. But facing the thing breaks the loop, not because it's easy, because it forces movement, and movement is the beginning of change. HubSpot makes impossible growth impossibly easy for their customers. And here's the perfect example. Morehouse College needed to reach new students with fresh, engaging content. But with a massive 900-page website, even the tiniest of updates took 30 minutes to publish. But here enters Breeze. HubSpot's collection of AI tools helped them write and optimize their content in a fraction of the time. And the results, 30% more page views, and visitors now spend 27% more time on their site. Ready for impossible growth like this? Visit HubSpot.com today. Have you ever heard of the Bison Theory? You see, bison are one of the few animals that instinctively run toward a storm, not away from it. Most animals try to outrun bad weather. But here's the thing. By avoiding bad weather that was always going to come to your doorstep, stretches the pain that comes with the storm. And eventually they stay in the storm longer. So you know what bison do? Those bold animals, they do the complete opposite. They turn, they face it, they move and run straight through the storm. And because of that, the storm passes faster. You're going to suffer this pain anyway. I might as well start it now and get it over with. Because what people don't think about is the mental anticipation of the pain that hasn't happened, for however long that stretch is, the actual pain itself, and then the aftermath of experiencing that pain. If you apply this analogy and this real phenomenon of whatever this metaphorical storm is in your life, in your business, in your career, in whatever category or capacity you want to associate with in this moment in your time as you're listening to this podcast episode right now, the reality is there's going to be pain involved in growth, pain involved in suffering, pain involved in any change you want because it's something you don't want to do. You don't want to be in pain. We want to avoid pain at all costs. We don't like to suffer. We don't like to struggle. We don't like inconvenience. We are conditioned to have things and technology bend to our will to avoid inconvenience. But inconvenience is always a part of our life, just as much as breathing. The pain is going to happen. Do you want to get it over with now? Or prolong the pain because the anticipation of the suffering is just as bad? Your mind can't tell the difference. Your body can, but your mind can't. So you're suffering as if you have pain before the pain, then the post-pain. Make it make sense. Maybe we should all be like the bison and just jump right into the storm, rip the Band-Aid off and say, let's deal with it. The takeaway is simple but uncomfortable. Avoidance prolongs suffering. Confrontation compresses it. Or, if I can say it another way, direction determines duration. This is why this quote from David Kessler sits so well for me in this moment, and hopefully for you in this episode. What we run from pursues us, and what we face transforms us.
What's up, digital world? You're listening to the I Digress audio experience with Troy Sandidge. Social media, marketing, storytelling, business, culture, and more. Coming to you in 3, 2, 1.
I'm still stuck on the fact that while most animals run away, the bison chooses to do something counterintuitive, and they turn and face it, and they move directly into the storm. Even though that sounds crazy, why jump right into the storm? I think sometimes we feel the lost art of people who are being direct. There's a difference between being direct and cutting right to the chase, getting right to the noise, versus being rude or arrogant or inconsiderate of other people's feelings when you're positioning to get right to the problem in any business scenario or situation. I do feel, as someone who's an empath, I tend to be direct but with padding because I feel it's necessary, because I feel all the feels and I feel other people's feels, and I want to make sure everyone feels feely. If you follow that, you're my people. If you're not, you're still my person. No worries, but I digress. I think the storm is unknown. It's uncertainty. Is navigating, trying to find clarity. Is trying to find solutions to big problems that you either did not cause or internal conflicts you did not want to deal with, but it comes with the territory of navigating a career in corporate, or navigating agency life and the pace of that, or navigating your own inflections as self-employed, as a business owner, whether you're leading up, leading down, leading laterally across, or leading yourself. There's going to come internal and external storms. And transparently, the quicker you deal with them, the quicker you're out of the pain and you're out of the suffering. Either way, you're going to experience the storm. So just like the bison, we can actually choose the direction to determine how long we stay in the storm, metaphorically speaking. The thing you're avoiding is not going away. And maybe this podcast episode in this moment is meant for you to listen to and be like, hey, this is your sign. If you needed a sign, here's your sign. Make the phone call. Send the text message. Schedule the meeting. Look into it. Make the decision. Bring people together. Leave. Stay. Go on a drive. Do the cruise. Paraglide. Skydive. Scuba dive. All the dives. Any dive. But I digress. We're always looking for a reason to do the thing we know what we need to do. We just need to do it. Be the bison, be bold, and just go forth and do it. Jump right into that storm. You're not going to have all the answers prior. This storm's going to hit anyway. You're not going to be 1,000,000% prepared. And ironically enough, you can be the most prepared for a storm, and the storm still kicks your butt. The storm doesn't care how prepared you were or lack thereof. It's going to just pass by. The goal isn't to come on the other side of the storm unscathed. That seems improbable. The goal is to survive the storm as quickly as possible so you can now recover from that storm. And sometimes counterintuitiveness, running into the storm, is actually better for long term than to avoid it as much as possible, to prolong the inevitable and have more suffering tacked onto you. What we run from, it doesn't disappear. It follows us. It shows up as stress, as distraction, as procrastination. I'm going to say that again. What we run from doesn't disappear. It follows us. It shows up as stress, as distraction, as procrastination, as that constant background noise in your head. Just keeps perpetuating this cycle. As I've been saying, as I will get to eventually in my TED Talk once it's publicly released, I talk about the thought loops, and closing those loops, it feels like torture having so many tabs open and never at one point in time closing those tabs. Just freeing your mental RAM and saying, hey, let's start over, or hey, let's have a clean slate and move in a certain way. Again, what we run from pursues us, but what we face transforms us. That's not poetic. It's practical. The moment you turn and acknowledge what's actually happening, something shifts in your body, in your soul, in your spirit, in your mind. Not to get woo-woo, because I'm not a woo-woo, but that's real. You stop leaking energy. You stop negotiating with reality. You stop pretending time will do the work for you. Instead, you're facing it. And facing it requires action. And action is where the real change lives. There's no New Year resolution that you can declare and decree that means absolutely anything without action. Honestly, don't say a dang thing of what you want to do and just do it. Pull the Nike, just do it. Or don't. And relish in the fact that you made a decision to not do it consciously. And you don't deal with the regret of declaring it out loud and going through the whole year of never accomplishing what you declared you were going to do. And 2 days in, you just didn't do it. Just do the action instead. Just jump right into the storm. Let's all just be bison, right? Let's just do that. Now, caveat, legal disclaimer, friendship disclaimer. This doesn't mean charging blindly. It means choosing honesty over comfort, movement over avoidance, agency over anxiety, You don't need certainty to move forward. You need courage to turn around. And the thing is, though we may not know how long the storm is, the storm doesn't last forever. But avoidance makes it feel like it does. So I challenge you to run toward it, get through it, then keep moving. The Science of Scaling, hosted by Mark Roberge, is brought to you by the HubSpot Podcast Network, the audio destination for business professionals. Each week, Mark, founding CRO at HubSpot CRO, senior lecturer at Harvard Business School, and co-founder of Stage 2 Capital, sits down with the most successful sales leaders in tech to learn the secrets, strategies, and tactics to scaling your company's growth. Listen to Science of Scaling wherever you get your podcasts. For many people who may not know my story or multitude of stories, however long you've been listening to this podcast experience, whether you've Googled me online, and all the things and everything in between, I've had my fair share of storms, and I'm sure you've had your fair share of storms too. I find with every storm, I've gotten clarity and I've learned some things. Some storms I've gone mostly unscathed, but many storms I've left with a lot of scars and trauma and challenges. But I look back also, and I look back and see what I've overcame. Not every trauma ends in trauma. Some traumas lead to triumph. And triumph leads to reflection of perspective, of seeing where you were and seeing where you now are. And sometimes reflecting on those moments helps anchor you. I'm not all about resolutions. I am all about improvements and optimization of your life, of your business. If we approach the same tenacity that we do about strategizing our business to the maximum amount of growth potential, but for our lives, we would look at our lives a lot differently. If we put everything we want to do in a category, our mental health, our physical health, our sleep, our family, our personal goal endeavors, our professional goal endeavors, how we want to move and maximize our 24 hours in the day, honestly, it can get really depressing because you realize how much of your time is wasted doing things that don't make sense for your life, for your business, or the overarching goal of what you want everything to do. Cumulatively, in my 20s, and I can say that now because I'm now in my 30s and it sounds weird to say out loud, but it's true. In my 20s, I traded so much time in exchange for money and education. But that time I spent in those areas to improve in a lot of ways and do the thing took away time I could have spent with my family that I'm not going to ever get back. Yes, was it necessary in regards to certain things financially to sustain us? Yes. But looking back, I don't know how many times I have stayed up late to work on projects, gave up weekends to work on things while other people were doing golfing and other things, and I had to fill in the void, fill in the blank, all these last minute requests to come in the next week, Monday morning, prepped, did all the work, and it never got seen. The report, I spent my whole weekend in sacrifice. You said it was urgent. I did it, and it was never even used. The deck I had to create to pitch to the client that I had to choose to do the work during the whole 4th of July weekend instead of spending it with family. I did that. And it was taken, modified to a pulp where it was basically unrecognizable. And then eventually wasn't even used because clarity wasn't there. Was this really that urgent? Was it really necessary? Was it really needed? And I feel like anyone who's navigated any type of in life in their career, you've been in those type of moments where you made those sacrifices for the greater good in the hopes that you get you some brownie points, a promotion track, growth track, salary increase, shows how much you care about your role, your job, that you can step up and be the person necessary for the role, and then nothing. And in that moment, you ask yourself, where do I go from here? What do I do? I just burnt time in that way that I'm not going to get back. In the same way with clients, I have at times found myself going above and beyond what they were paying me to show my value, to only not actually get the client, or it was only that they didn't see it and they didn't stay, or the retainer, fell off, or you go above and beyond before the contract is signed to show value, and then they don't choose you anyway. But they took the value that you did and made money off of it for free because you gave it to them without boundaries and guardrails in place to protect your peace and your time and your money and your energy, your time, money, knowledge, and skill. So I trade a lot of my time in my 20s for money, knowledge, and skill. Now the goal in my 30s is to convert that knowledge and skill into more money to buy back more time. I would have never gotten to certain things without certain storms. Now, you shouldn't have to experience everything, living experience to know things. There's some wisdom in just observing what someone else is experiencing and saying, I'm not doing that. I can do it differently. This is why people need to read, listen to podcasts, watch videos, whatever form of mediums you want to do to consume things to help educate and enlighten you on the best course of action for your life and your goals. Please do that. It's in your best interest. But the other thing to understand and to realize is we only have a limited amount of time. And if we rip the Band-Aid off and be real in this moment, you can say it out loud or say it to yourself quietly in your head as I walk through this with you. What is it that you want? What is it that you need? What are you tired of experiencing? What do you wish you had to experience more of? Take those 4 questions and sit with them and apply that in your personal life, your professional life, and then cross-reference those 2 things together. Is what you're doing with your career making you happy? At some point, happiness has to be included in the equation in the conversation. It's not enough to just be, does it make me money? Does it not? Does it keep the lights on? Does it not? Does it pay rent? Does it not? At some point in your life, you have to realize, is what I'm literally doing for a good portion of my life bringing me joy and purpose? If not, can I make this be that? Or do I need to find something else? Okay, if I need to find something else, can I find something else that also sustains the financial stability of what I need? If it doesn't, do I have a partner? Or can I supplement with something that's boring and mundane and easy to manage that does provide what I need financially so I can pursue what I really want to do? And how do I manage the time between the two? If what I do does, if what I do does provide me purpose and provides me stability, but I'm not happy, is it that I don't have control of my own time? Am I working under someone else? Or is it because I'm working for myself that I need more structure and I need to maybe do the same thing, but for someone else? When you get into the nitty gritty of the whys and the hows and the whens and the wheres and these very clear, distinctive answers concisely, you start to realize what you're not happy with at your core, where your time is being wasted, and what you value the most, where you want to spend most of your time. Yes, access, privilege, all of those things do play a part in one's life in professional and personal settings. But it's not the definitive. You can be an outlier. What you started with doesn't mean you have to end the same way. Where you came from doesn't mean you have to end the same way. You can take what's given to you, learn the skills, acquire the knowledge, find the way to get the money, to move in a certain way to make time work for you. Does that take a lot of energy and resources? Yes. But we have the internet and ChatGPT and Gemini and all these tools available to us for a fraction of a cost or remotely free, if not free, or go to the library or find resources like this podcast or other books and things like that to listen and consume and make the conscious decisions to help you better your life. And the only way to better your life is through action. You can only consume so much. At some point, you must take action. The best course of action is to consume as you're acting. So you're always optimizing and improving in very specific areas. Easier said than done, but it's necessary and it's required. So I challenge you to be like the bison and just move. These storms, these weights are never going away. So what are you going to do about it? You couldn't just sit and complain more and more until you're desensitized and convince yourself this is the best you can do. Or you make conscious changes. You become very active. And you may fail a lot, but at least you tried. And that's more than what most people would do. And if you try enough times, you will succeed. Because the difference between someone who has succeeded and has failed is they just kept trying until something worked. The funny part is we don't know how many attempts it's going to take to beat that level. We just know if we keep trying, eventually we're going to figure it out. Or we're going to get extra life. We're going to get lucky. It's going to come down to real perfect timing. One way or another, the probability of your success is predicated on you continuing to try. And sometimes that trying means you have to jump into the storm quicker than somebody else. This is a pain that's not going away. Either I'm going to learn artificial intelligence and machine learning to what's required, or I'm going to keep complaining about how it's taking over my career and I'm never going to get a new job or never get that promotion or never get that new client because I'm deficient in AI tools. Or you can sit your butt down and learn them. Make a conscious effort, map out what I need to learn, and do what I need to do. It's just one example. One I'm going to take to heart. So what are those things for you? Take a second, think about it, and do something about it. Please. I admonish you, I encourage you, and I support you. Until next time, tea out.
And that's a wrap. We hope you enjoyed this episode of I Digress. What was your takeaway? Care to share your thoughts and tag Troy on social media? You can find him on all platforms at Find Troy. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a review or comment for this episode from wherever you're listening. Looking for a marketing strategist to build the structure, strategies, and systems you need to get the success you want and the ROI you desire in your business? Book a discovery call to talk with Troy at findtroy.com. And as Troy's philosophy goes, imagination is the engine, content is the fuel, social media is the highway, marketing is the roadmap, sales is the destination, culture is the GPS. Thanks for listening.